and it'll just arise. Like it'll just like there is a process, um, I go through to like access them, but it will just arise. Like the messages will just arise. People, for example, like it's a matter of really honing in on what you call your imagination, because our imagination truly is a gateway. That's what people call our third eye. And we're so taught that like our imagination is just all made up and not real, but our imagination is how we can access higher information. It's how our higher self communicates to us, even through dreams or symbols or things that don't always make sense. It is a matter of learning how to develop that muscle though, and really like discern and hone in on what these things are and what they mean. It takes
Mhm.
practice.
Yeah, like what you said when like the Western concept of imagination, it's like to be dismissed, I guess. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's like modern culture is like that. Like if a lot of times people like they're not very good at dealing with like stress or certain like weird emotions. Like let's say they start feeling like nervous or whatever because there's some reason in their head. Like there's a they're like, oh, they're having family issues, whatever, like a normal reason why you'd be anxious. Instead of like being like, okay, why do I feel anxious? I feel like a lot of people are just try and like ignore it. And I think it's like that with dreams and all that kind of thing. Like a lot of time people are like, it's almost like conventional wisdom tells people to like ignore it when, like you said, you should kind of like flex the muscle. Like maybe if you just kind of went into it a little more, dived in deeper, then maybe you'd gain a lot of knowledge or something. I don't know. I guess that's kind of what I felt when I kind of like started um, maturing, I guess, is I was like, okay, wait, hold on. Let me like actually, like, why do I feel this way? And like, let me like think about it for a second and analyze it. And, you know, I feel like that's when you kind of you kind of like go past the next plateau. You kind of like break through when you actually kind of like take time to delve into it. I studied psychology actually in school. I was like really interested about people and stuff. And the thing with psychology is that part of it is understanding humans, and then the other part is like trying to like help people get through their problems. So it's interesting because I haven't really talked to too many spiritual healers, and I've kind of come at this from like it's like psychology almost tries to like logic your way into like fixing yourself. Like you try and like it's like a conversation you have in your brain, but if you only attack like people need that. Like people need to logically think about things, but that's only one aspect. Like there's other, like spirituality is something that is neglected, it seems. Like people have taken in America, it seems like people have been like, we're going to separate church and state. And they've just completely thrown out church, right? Like they've thrown it out, with everything. So then there's just this neglect, it seems, of spirituality in people. I don't know. At least that's what I've seen at least that's what I've seen living in the city, in big cities in America. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know many people that are in psychology, or people like when people come to you, have they talked about therapy they've had in the past before, or any experiences with that?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I feel like that's very wise and like very intuitive of you to share. That's definitely something that I see, and I feel like it's that off balance that, causes a lot of strife. People don't know how to really deal with these things, and we are so logical, which is important, but sometimes you can just loop and loop and loop. And with psychology, actually, that was partly of what really assisted me in my journey was Carl Jung. He's a big one for me, learning because he studied a
You,
lot of
Carl,
he's
you?
yeah.
Uh-huh. It seems like I think a lot of people. I think it was Florian or Keith actually mentioned Carl Jung yesterday. So interesting.
Yeah, it
Why?
was
Sorry,
funny
sorry,
how
I cut you off.
oh no, it's okay. Well, it's funny because that's actually one of my first like spirit kind of like spiritual experiences I actually had was that I remember was meditating when I first started meditating, many years ago. And I was trying to open myself up to this, and I was starting to think about the subconscious. And so I was meditating, and this was the first time I did like a visual meditation. So I was visualizing I was on the beach, And it's so funny, but like this little being came up to me and I was so excited because I was like, like this is like crazy. And I was trying to ask it questions and it was just laughing at me, like playfully, like just like I think it was laughing because I was trying to be so serious. And it just said Carl Jung. I never, as far as I'm aware, I never heard of Carl Jung. I swear. It was like Carl Jung, and then like my phone rang and it just like I couldn't connect back to that. And then I looked up Carl Jung and that's when that whole thing started. And it was just like a whole string of weird divine things like that was happening to like awaken me. And it was like, so Carl Jung was a huge part in like opening my mind to, because sometimes it's hard to get out of that logical space. So like him being extremely smart and like intellectual, but also exploring these mysteries, that's really what it is like, I feel like people are kind of afraid of like the mysterious, these
Mhm.
mysterious things that are kind of in a way like unexplainable. But